The Carolina Hurricanes are finally back in Raleigh tonight to take on the New York Islanders after being on the road for over 2 weeks. Find out what the Hurricanes need to do to come away with the win in tonight's game in this episode of Locked On Hurricanes.
Your Locked On Hurricanes, your daily podcast on the Carolina Hurricanes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hey there, Caniacs. I'm your host, Jared Ellis, and you're listening to Locked On Hurricanes on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And this episode is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline, where the game starts. And as always, thank you for making Locked On Hurricanes your first listen of the day. Follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at LO_Hurricanes and myself on Twitter at JaredEllis_96. And as I mentioned in the opening of the show, the Hurricanes are finally back in Raleigh after over 2 weeks on the road. They're, of course, out of town due to the North Carolina State Fair. And it has been 16 days since the Hurricanes played at home, and that was on opening night. It has been a hot minute since they have played at home. And the sun is coming out, as you can see. You know, the the world is happy that the Hurricanes are playing at home tonight. And this is going to be a really fun game tonight, I feel. As I mentioned, the Hurricanes just coming off of the road trip. They went 3-1-1 on that road trip, with winning in San Jose, Seattle, and Vancouver. Regulation loss coming in Edmonton, and overtime loss coming in Calgary. And they're playing a New York Islanders team tonight who their their record doesn't tell the whole story. And with the Islanders, their losses, 3 of their 4 losses, came from Florida and Tampa Bay, and those are 2 really, really good teams. So, you can't, look at that, super, super hard. Obviously, you take that into account, but, they lost to really good teams, and, you know, the Hurricanes lost to really good teams too. So, you look at that, and the Hurricanes are really gonna have to be on their A game. I've said, in the now four seasons covering the team, that Metro teams always play each other a little bit tougher than they do other opponents. And that's gonna be the case tonight. And we saw it opening night against Columbus, and we're gonna see it tonight against New York. And one thing that the Hurricanes are really going to have to do in this game is, yes, they're on the right path for the season and they're going to be a good team, but, we are seeing those early season, issues and whatnot. And the big one has, for me at least, has been the power play. And yes, it is still super early in the season. The Hurricanes have only played for 5, 6 games. I believe. I think this is seventh game of the season. And yeah, you're only 7 games in, but the power play has been an issue for a while, not just this season. If you've been around listening to the show for a long time, then the power play has been something I've been critical of really since the start of the show. It always seems to be an issue. Always seems to be something like one of the main weak spots of the team is the power play. It has looked good at times this year, for sure, but that's the keyword, at times. It has looked good, and tonight against Islanders, their power play needs to be on its A game. Both units, Unit 1 and Unit 2, they need to be on their A game because they're going against a New York team, uh, who just tied an NHL record for the 7 straight games without allowing a power play goal. So power play is really going to have to be on point tonight. And we'll talk more about that later as well when we get into the keys of the game. But that was something that's the big thing tonight, for me, is the power play showing up. And I think, the Hurricanes are gonna be a good spot to do that. There doesn't look like there's gonna be any line changes, from the previous game in Vancouver. Freddie Anderson's, looking to be the guy in between the pipes tonight, and Calvin DeHaan is still out for maintenance. Kasha is still out with concussion, and, I think that, you know, the Hurricanes are in, a really they're in a good spot. Yeah, you had that little bump in the road, with Calgary and Edmonton, but, Sebastian Aho on a 5-game point streak right now. Andrei Svechnikov and Martin Necas being on fire this season as well. That's stuff that you can expect to see continue tonight, and one big thing, from actually Vancouver and then coming into tonight as well is, Jordan Staal. In the Vancouver game, I failed to mention this the other day, but with that assist on that Jesper Fast game, that put him past Eric Cole for fifth most points in Hurricanes history. This is, from relocation onward, with 138. And, I am loving this, for him. It's really, and actually, I totally think I butchered the point total there as well. But, he's really killing it. And just this season of just kind of putting everything into perspective for him. His final year of his 10-year deal, and he also tonight versus the Islanders also ties him with Cam Ward for 4th most games played in Hurricanes history. Again, since the point total of since relocation. So it's crazy to think about just how how long he's been here. Looking back at the, point total, he's at, 226 goals, 364 points. I don't know where I got 138 from. That was just, bad math on my point or on my part, but, he's just been around for so long, and really kinda coming into perspective of what all he has done and is continuing to do. He's 2 games away from 1,100 career NHL games. Again, crazy to think about with him, and, yeah, yeah, it's just one of those things, it's kinda hard to put into words. He's been here for so long, been through it all, just seeing, stuff like this, come to fruition for him. And, you're gonna have, so many other guys that are gonna be finding their names up there, like Sebastian Aho and Andrei Svechnikov, they're gonna find their names up there in the point totals for sure, when all things are said and done. But, as I mentioned, getting away from the sentimental type things, with Jordan Staal of the Hurricanes are gonna have their work cut out for them tonight. They are. New York is, you know they're not the best team in the NHL, but they're flying a bit under the radar, especially again, like I said, with that penalty kill. That's gonna be big for tonight is, how the Hurricanes power play can show up. And like I said, we're gonna talk about more about that with the keys from the game. But before we get into that, we need to hear what Rod Brind'amour had to say after morning skate this morning, as well as hear from Bet Online. This episode is, of course, once again brought to you by Bet Online. BetOnline.net is your number one source for all of your betting, football, and the start of the basketball season. You also have the World Series going on right now, NHL, so much stuff going on. So you can find all of the latest player developments, team matchups, news, podcasts, and in depth analysis on every game. And as always, BetOnline remains your continued source for all of your sports wagering information with live betting and up to the minute scores for every sport out there. It is the fastest and easiest way to check in on all of your favorite games and events, including MLB, MMA, boxing, golf, hockey, wrestling, whatever. BetOnline has you covered. So head over to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more. BetOnline, where the game starts. Now, again, before we get into the keys for the game, we do need to hear what Rod Brind'amour had to say at morning skate this morning, and we will talk about what he had to say right now.
New coaching staff over there, Rod. Is there any differences you've noticed in looking at tape and how they play versus what they did before?
Well, it's kind of new, but not really. I mean, you guys have been there a long time, so. No, I think you know what you're getting when you play it down. They're gonna. I always say it's blue collar, kind of come at you, and very similar to I think what they've always been in the past. So there's a lot of similarities there. Obviously, a lot of the same faces. So we definitely I think are familiar with what they're doing.
Rod, one guy that's been there for 15 years, Josh Bailey, will play his 1,000th game tonight.
Yeah.
You played against him, and you've coached against him. Can you just talk on about him?
Well, that's a big accomplishment for sure, and I think he's been anytime you can last that long and still keep at it at a high level, that says a lot about you. And there's not many guys left that I played against, so you silently root for those guys when you're watching them.
Don still day to day?
Yep.
How about just being home, Rod, after a lengthy trip?
Yeah, it's nice to, it was nice to get home, and hopefully you can. Well, we're right back on the road again after this, but every team has those trips, and I think we handle it pretty well. Now, how do you handle it coming off it? We've had a few days off. Make sure we get right back to the level we were playing at on the road, which was really really high level. It was good.
All right, thanks, Rod.
Thank you, Rod.
Okay.
Yeah, so in listening to Rod Brind'amour, again, they know what they're getting with New York. And yeah, as far as the coaching change, yeah, I agree. I don't think we're really gonna see much difference there. And like I said, Metro teams always play each other a bit tougher, and these teams are obviously extremely familiar with each other, having a lot of guys there in New York, having been there for a while. A lot of guys here with the Hurricanes having been here for a while as well. These teams know what they're getting into. And, you know, listening, to 'em, yes, they are going right back on the road following this game to go up to Philly, I believe, for the second half of a back-to-back. Uh, I'm really looking forward to see how they can handle, having those few days off. I think it benefits them, especially, from having had, such a long road trip, be able to get home, relax a bit, and, decompress, from that long road trip. I think that's gonna be big for the Hurricanes, and I hope, any sort of, you know, not rust, but you guys know what I'm saying of, you know, maybe so. Yeah, they ended the road trip with a win, but, those Calgary and Edmonton losses, any, like, bad taste that those had, in their mouth, that stuff is gone, and, they're past it. They ended with a win, and they're ready to go, get back home, and I think that's gonna be important. Obviously, Calvin Hans still being out, uh, sucks, but, we like I said, we're already expecting that. No line changes tonight, or at least it's what is expected as of recording. So, you look at all of that, and I think that the Hurricanes they're in a good spot to win tonight. And like I said, we need to talk about more with the keys to the game, but it's not going to come easy. That's the big thing. The Hurricanes can absolutely win this game. It's not, a David versus Goliath situation, where, the other team is gonna win. The Hurricanes, if they're on their A game, they can win this. But also, if they falter in this game, New York can absolutely come away with the win here in this game. It isn't a gimme game for the Hurricanes. A lot of people were, saying that Vancouver game was a trap game, and I agree. It definitely could have been a trap game. Vancouver just won their first game of the year, and they hadn't been great. But New York, they're a team this year. Like they're gonna, if the Hurricanes give them an opportunity, they're gonna take it. And yeah, the Hurricanes, they got to be on it tonight. And we're going to talk about that more with the keys to the game right after this quick break. All right, folks, now it's time to talk about the keys to the game tonight. I already talked about the biggest one. That is the power play. Power play has got to be on it. Again, the Hurricanes, they're going against a penalty kill that is just tied an NHL record for 7 straight games without allowing a power play goal. And yeah, that is absolutely insane. And kudos to the Islanders for being able to do that. That's a heck of a feat to be able to do for sure. And I think that the Hurricanes know that, okay, we're going against something that's, ridiculously good. Uh, and, one thing that I feel the Hurricanes will need to do to be able to capitalize on that, and, well, not capitalize on it, but be able to jump that hurdle of the Islanders penalty kill is, you know, everyone's starting to gel. And the next key that I have, is Brent Burns taking a step forward. I forget who said it in the comment section, but I'm talking about you of him, still, kind of settling in, and you see those kind of mistakes of a guy that's in a new system. I want to see him, take a step forward in this game. And yeah, he has looked really good. But yeah, he's also had his moments where he makes a mistake that, say, if he was in San Jose, maybe he still doesn't make. I think he's still getting used to the Hurricane system, and I do want to see him uh take a step forward tonight in this game. I think it's going to be a really good chance for him to do that. I think guys are going to be relying on him a bit tonight, and he's obviously a guy that's supposed to have a big role here. We all know that, but I want to see him really uh, have a breakout game for the Hurricanes. He's quietly been really good for the Hurricanes, but he hasn't had like a breakout game as a Hurricane, and I'd like this to be that game. Uh, in pulling up the Hurricanes' power play percentage, they are tied at 14th in the NHL with 22.7 uh, power play percentage. One thing, with the Islanders, they are at 27th at 12.5% for their power play. So the Hurricanes do at least have that going in their favor. But again, the penalty killing for the Islanders has been absolutely ridiculous. Literally number 100% penalty kill. Whereas the Hurricanes, they have slipped down to 17th at 78.3% for their penalty killing. We know how good the Hurricanes penalty kill can be. And going against a Islanders power play that hasn't been great, that is at least going to be one battle that the Hurricanes will be good at. But again, Hurricanes power play is really going to be big. And the third key, following the power play and Brent Burns, is just other guys in general stepping up. I did specifically mention Brent Burns because, again, some commenters mentioning him, of wanting to see him, take steps forward. And as far as his game here with the Hurricanes. But it's not just him either. He's definitely probably the biggest name I'd like to see. I still stand by my statement of I feel it's only a matter of time for him because it feels like he's knocking on the door of that breakout game. And I think in this game here, it would be really important for him to have that breakout game here tonight against Islanders. But again, just other guys in general, I want to see step up. We talked about him earlier, just the tear they've been on. Andrei Svechkov, Martin Necas, and Sebastian Aho. They've been killing it this year so far through these first couple weeks, but it can't just all be them. I do want to see some other guys be stepping up. Seth Jarvis, I want to see him, shine a bit more. Again, I did mention Brent Burns. I'd also, you know, would like to see something from Jesperi Kotkaniemi tonight. He's a guy, he's getting that bigger role. I do still think he's getting used to it, very much like Brent Burns in his new role. But he's got another guy. I would really like to see something from him tonight. And really be like, hey, I am the second line center here, I'm not just in this spot because Vincent Trocheck left. I'm here in this spot because I earned it. And I want to see him, have a game like that. He's obviously been killing it in terms of face-off percentages, uh, and his overall game. But I want to see him have a game, just a breakout game, not a quietly good game. I want to see Jesper Kotkaniemi and Brent Burns have breakout games here soon. I obviously would love to see it tonight, but here's soon. Again, we're in the first half of a back-to-back tonight. We got Philly tomorrow, and that'd be another great opportunity for some of these guys to step up, have these games, to make their names. Stefan Nazin being another guy that I feel is knocking on the door. It's just a matter of time for him before he has that breakout game, and I really, really want to see that. Now we had been talking about it in a previous episode. I wanted to talk about it a little bit just because I think I may have been right. Of Ethan Bear potentially getting moved. Evidently, it's looking like Vancouver may actually be the number one spot for him, or in terms of a trade partner. And that's the team I predicted because of their defense or blue line group of it not being great. But, I would like to see I do think it's time that they make a move. I thought we would hear something by the end of the week. So far, we haven't. I mean, it is, 1:30 PM on Friday afternoon, so we could absolutely see something tomorrow, but I did think we'd see something, done as far as Ethan Bear getting moved. By the end of the week, doesn't look like we'll see it, but we'll just have to wait and see. Yeah, I think it's just a matter of time. I said by the end of the week, maybe, and I was saying by the end of the month, but it's time for him, to get moved. I think maybe the reason they haven't yet is because of Calvin DeHaan's status. As you heard Rod Brind'amour say, he's day to day right now, and maybe that's why they haven't made a move of just they want to err on the side of caution. Uh, but I feel like the longer they let this ride, the less they'll get in return. So that's obviously a situation we will talk about more whenever more information comes out. I just felt that was worth mentioning with it looking like Vancouver may be the top suitor for Ethan Bear, but we'll just have to wait and see when it comes to him getting traded. Uh, but maybe we'll be talking about that on Monday. Maybe we won't. I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. But one thing for sure is that we will be talking about tonight's game against Vancouver as well as the next game against Philly, all in the next episode of Locked On Hurricanes. So make sure you are following the show on Twitter and Instagram at LO_Hurricanes and myself on Twitter at Jared Ellis _96. And I will talk to you guys in the next episode.